Yo, what up, YouTube? And welcome to the channel once again. I have thoughts about what I saw last night, but I guess I should give you a brief introduction. So we're going to talk about Alexis Rocha versus Giovani Santillan. And kind of something huge happened, in case you guys didn't catch it last night. Essentially, there was a huge upset, and that upset was Giovani Santillan knocking Alexis Rocha off his ass into the floor for a total of 3 knockdowns and a TKO win. I have thoughts on this, and these thoughts can vary from very simple to very complex. In a simple sense, I never thought Alexis Rocha was all that. I think he was a product of good matchmaking, personally. It's not to say that his matchmaking was terrible, but, like, let's be real here. His best win was Blair Cobbs, and he had lost to Rashidi Ellis, who ended up losing to Villa. But my big thing was that Ellis was a pure boxer, fundamentally sound, fast as hell. Simple jab gave Rocha a lot of issues. And I feel like the 7 wins he has been on since should have been enough to correct his issues from that fight, but they weren't. To give it to you straight, the start of this fight, I did favor Rocha to win because I just thought he had been more active than Santillan. Santillan probably hadn't been that good. I've only ever seen Santillan fight on the top rank undercards from ESPN+. He's never really impressed me. I think he fought Eric Bonet his last fight, and he looked kind of like ass until he won. But I thought he lost a decent amount of those rounds against Eric Bonet, who was not that good of a fighter, who Sean Porter knocked out and had been stopped and had fought a lot of guys, and honestly had only fought lower level tier competition until then, or until fighting Santillan, since he's lost on the PBC Spike days. Point being, going back to it, how did this fight essentially break down? It didn't last long. In fact, I don't remember what round it got, stopped in, but I do remember basically the story of the fight. The story of the fight's essentially this. Alexis Rocha comes into the ring, Giovani Santillan comes into the ring, and from the first round, you could tell where this is going. Alexis Rocha was flat-footed, which he normally isn't as flat-footed as he is yesterday, which it's either a product of matchmaking or a product of how good Santillan is. It's up to you to decide. Alexis Rocha has normally a better jab than what he showed last night. And for the most part, the last couple opponents he's been fighting have been lower level competition where his punching power has indeed affected how they think, how they press forward, and how they, decide to engage with Alexis Rocha. Anthony Young was scared of Rocha's power. There's a little bit of fear in his eyes, hence why he got knocked out. The guy before that was a 140-pounder moving up. I forget his name. He was afraid of getting knocked out, and he did get knocked out. And then over and over, you could see that in his last couple matchmaking, where Alexis Rocha's power was something to be, feared. And that power let him set up a lot of work off his jab. So the start of this fight was completely different. Giovani Santillan came with a mission, and I guess Robert Garcia told him, hey, bro, this ain't Top Rank, this ain't ESPN. You're not the house fighter here. You need to make shit happen. And albeit, that's great advice, considering you're fighting on DAZN, Golden Boy, not ESPN Top Rank. And from that first round, Alexis Rocha tried using his jab, and then Santillan just ate it. And he tried using his jab again, and Santillan just walked through it. Santillan essentially just became a fucking Terminator in the sense that Rocha was throwing the kitchen sink at this man. Left hands, right hands, everything, body shots. Nothing was getting through, nothing was hurting Santillan, which is a testament to A, his chin, or B, the matchmaking of Rocha, like I've kept saying. It's hurtful to watch, to be honest, because around the first knockdown, it was pretty fucking brutal. The first knockdown didn't seem too bad, actually. Excuse me. The first knockdown, Santillan just came in, worked it. The second knockdown was brutal. He threw 3 hooks in a row. So this is Santillan throwing to Alexander Rocha. 3 hooks in a row, and all 3 hooks landed, and then Rocha's on the floor. Credit to him for getting up, though. Credit for him making and surviving the round after the first knockdown. But then the third knockdown came, and it was more of the same, and it was just like, bro, stop the fight. Please don't. And I thank God the ref did, because Rocha would have got fucking destroyed. Okay. So basically, the gist of the fight is, was Rocha ever that good, or was it a product of matchmaking? I think it's a product of matchmaking. He never really improved after that first loss, and to be honest, Blair Cobbs was his best win, and I don't rate Blair Cobbs that highly. It does suck for him because he lost his WBO mandatory status to Giovani Santillan. So let's go to Giovani Santillan. What's his next move? Well, it looks like Top Rank is willing to lend him out to bigger promoters, so he might have a chance at a belt. With the whole Showtime collapse and how they have basically everything on lockdown at welterweight with Crawford over there, he might not get his title shot anytime soon. So what's next? Well, Santillán can fight more people on Rocha's level, so we're talking his best bet will probably be the WBO 15 rankings, maybe a Mean Machine, maybe a Michael Fox, just to keep busy. I know Top Rank matches him tough as fuck, though. So realistically, if he's not going to fight at Top Rank, well, if he's fighting on a Top Rank undercard, that's what he's doing. He's fighting a top 15 WBO guy, Mean Machine, David Avanese, and some shit like that. But if he's trying to get a belt, which I think he might get lucky because Crawford is rumored to be moving up in weight. I'm not sure if he's going to fight Spence again because that hasn't been confirmed, even though the 30-day fucking limit has passed by. Or if he's going to move up and fight Tim Tszyu because he became WBO Super Champion and mandatory to Tim Tszyu's belt, which is a possibility. Or if he's fucking fighting Canelo. Who knows with PBC and how they're fucked right now. That said, Santillán needs to wait if he wants to be a champion. So his options are either to keep busy. His next move is to keep asking Top Rank to let him be lended out to other promoters, i.e. Golden Boy, Matchroom, or Showtime. If he's lucky enough for Top Rank to consider him, I don't want to say a liable, but like not a top, money-making prospect, I think a smart thing to do would be to send Giovani Santillan over to Showtime. And since I know Boots Ennis is a Showtime fighter, like he is not a PBC fighter, he is like signed to Showtime Boxing and Showtime's dying, they better get him out there again at least once before the year ends. So if I were PBC, not even PBC, if I were Steven Espinoza and I have a fighter signed to my platform that's dying, I call up Top Ring and I say, yo, let me fight Giovani Santillan. Because rumor has it, and Monty Stanionis is fighting Keith Thurman, so that'd be a good fight for Santillán for two reasons. He could become double mandatory, which would be WBO and IBF mandatory if you were to beat Boots, and end up having more name tiers, because that's like the best you can do. And then it would be a double win on Showtime's end, because then before they fuck over Boots and not have him a contract, he'll have someone to fight. Do I think Santillán has a chance to beat Crawford? Fuck no. I'm sorry, I'm a big Crawford fan. In case you guys don't know, there's a video I made a couple months ago about how I knew Crawford was going to fucking destroy Spence for years, and I got shitted on. But Crawford is just a level above these guys. Just what would Santillán do against the Undisputed King? He's a come-forward pressure fighter with a good chin, but it's nothing Crawford hasn't seen before. Like, if anything, you could argue he's seen that style before many a times with Spence, Porter. Yeah, Santillán is getting murked. I would say Santillán gets destroyed in 6. So his best options are probably to clean up the rest of the streets. I mean, the problem with it is that where does he go from here? Realistically, he has to work with the PBC guys. The PBC guys don't have any Showtime left to hide on their island. So where does Santillán go? And Golden Boy doesn't have anybody else to give him. I mean, unless you want to give him fucking Blair Cobbs. So he's in a stuffed pot. Because you could wait out the mandatory when Bud moves up. You could fight. You could keep lending Santillán out, which I don't know if Top Rank wants to do now that he's a mandatory. So he's in a really bad place. Although I do think he's in a good place in terms of stock. He can always keep busy and keep making big fights. Outside of that, though, where does Rocha go? I think Rocha, he kind of has to go back to the drawing board. I don't think Rocha is a top-level welterweight. I mean, if I haven't made it clear, I never thought he was. So realistically, what does he do? I think he fights a couple tomato cans, try moving back up in the division, likely loses again and probably retires. I don't even know if he should continue fighting after yesterday's ass beating. 2 losses already. I mean, I know losses aren't everything. I think it's overrated because that's what Mayweather did it by. But, like, it's hard to tell you where can you go, because if you lost to mid-tier guys like Santillán and Rashidi Ellis, what are you going to do against the top guys, right? And you were a top. I mean, I think cream of the top is like Crawford and then everybody else. I never thought Spence was on his level. So anyways, yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on the matter. I have nothing else to say. I do think Santillán has a huge upset, so if you place money on that motherfucker, you made some decent bread because he was an underdog. And hope to see more of him, honestly. I just hope to see him active. I don't want him to get the curse with the mandatory spot curse, basically. Because the WBO ain't going to order that fight unless fucking Spence is definitely not fighting him. And I think the IBF would be sooner to order Boots versus Crawford than the WBO versus for Santillán versus Crawford. Anyways, those are my 2 cents. Please like, subscribe, and comment for more. See you guys next weekend. I'm not even going to talk about the UK card. Linares versus Catterall was just... It was kind of boring, I'm not going to lie. And I have not much to add to that. So, peace. I'll talk to y'all later. Love, subscribe.